We are now 120 days through the Trump administration, and it seems like every single day we are getting another tragic story relating to immigration. This time, Donald Trump has ordered a critically ill 4-year-old Mexican girl to leave the country. She could die within days, experts say. Now, this story is incredibly tragic, and it highlights the differences of one administration to the next. This family coming to the United States under the Biden administration, seeking life-saving care for their daughter. The two parents have been nothing but outstanding citizens trying to provide care and save their daughter's life. And all of a sudden, under the Trump administration, she's been required to be deported. They're being required to leave, which is absolutely absurd. And I think it's really important to listen to the story, read it, and share it. So again, we can get the voice out and save this girl's life. Before we start, though, I do think it's important to zoom out a little bit and talk about the realities of the next 24 to 48 hours in relation to this story. What we're likely to see is a judge rule that it's unconstitutional for the Trump administration to do this. The problem is we continue to see the Trump administration ignore federal judges on this issue specifically surrounding due process. Obviously, Abrego Garcia is the first kind of most mainstream story most people have heard about, but this is happening over and over and over again, right? This was just in the last 24 hours. Judge criticizes government inaction in case of migrants held in Djibouti. Judge Brian E. Murphy had ordered the Trump administration to offer due process to a group of men whom the government was trying to send to South Sudan. This is the quote from the judge in this ruling, quote, "It turns out that having immigration proceedings on another continent is harder and more logistically cumbersome than defendants anticipated," he wrote in his 17-page order. He added that if giving deportees remote proceedings proved too difficult, the government could still return the men to the United States. And this is in reference to his earlier order that he issued on Wednesday of last week, mandating that 6 of the 8 men be given a reasonable fear interview or a chance to express fear of persecution or torture if they were sent on to South Sudan. At a hearing that day, he found the government had violated another order that the deportees be given notice in a language they could understand and at least 15 days to challenge their removal. Instead, the judge found they were given fewer than 16 hours notice. And on Monday night, the lawyer for the migrants in that case confirmed that her team had not been given phone access to them. So again, what this is in relation to is a group of migrants that are from multiple different places that have been convicted of violent crimes, which the judge mentions and knows, but are not getting substantive due process. He says, okay, legally, you need to give 6 of these 8 men credible fear interviews, essentially, if they're going to be sent to South Sudan, and they need to be given in their language. They need at least 15 days to be able to essentially appeal this. And again, the judge is not denying that they have been convicted of violent crimes, but we are a country of laws, right? You have to have due process. And then all of a sudden, the Trump administration just violated that order and just sent them to Djibouti, which is a different country than South Sudan. So they're all currently in that country waiting to be sent to South Sudan. And I believe then another one will, multiple of them aren't even from South Sudan. And so the judge says, if it's too hard to give due process overseas, you can bring them back to the United States. But of course, the Trump administration has just violated this over and over and over again. And we're seeing due process and our Constitution start to fall apart. This also comes as a 2-year-old girl who was a U.S. citizen was deported, and a Trump-nominated federal judge in Louisiana said that that 2-year-old American citizen appears to have been deported, quote, with no meaningful process. This comes as the Trump administration has faced growing criticisms for its hurried proceedings to remove as many non-citizens from the country as quickly as possible. And again, this is a story from a few weeks ago. But again, MAGA in this case will continue to try to claim that this is, radical leftist judges. But a lot of the judges in these cases, in fact, the judges who have issued the most scolding rulings against Trump in relation to due process have been Republican, very conservative judges who believe in the power of the executive. So as we see these quotes from Trump and Caroline Leavitt and Vance and your MAGA family members, it's just not true, right? We look at other rulings. This was a Trump-appointed judge. Some other Trump-appointed judges. We have District Judge Royce C. Lamberth, I believe, halted the administration's attempt to shutter Voice of America, the government's funded global news broadcaster. Lamberth said the administration basically made no effort to comply with the law. Quote, "It is hard to fathom a more straightforward display of arbitrary and capricious actions than the defendant's actions here." Just 5 days earlier, fellow Reagan appointee Harvey Wilkinson, one of the most conservative judges in the country, issued perhaps the most blistering ruling against the administration to date. He pitched its efforts to deport undocumented immigrants without due process as an inflection point for, quote, the foundation of our constitutional order. He even suggested such an effort could threaten U.S. citizens and political opponents of the president. Quote, this should be shocking not only to judges, but to the intuitive sense of liberty that Americans far removed from courthouses still hold dear. And then it goes on to talk about more conservative judges, other rulings that Wilkinson has made. So again, I talk about all of this to say that this is likely what we are going to see in relation coming all the way back to this story. If a judge rules that this family needs to stay, the question is, will the Trump administration listen? And how much of us can get loud if they don't? Because this is truly what you start to see in when, in the history books. Not to be an alarmist, but it's the truth. In the history books, when you start to see countries really gravitate toward authoritarianism or fascism, the first thing you're going to do is really start to attack the judicial branch. That guy from Germany did this after he gained power, right? He attacked judges who were not up to the task and said, I'm going to start ruling on these cases, right? You consolidate power at the top. And this is an incredibly dangerous thing to continue to attack the judicial branch, have us in constitutional crisis, being when the executive branch, the Trump administration, is ignoring the judicial branch, judges, and the country. Because if the executive branch isn't listening to the judicial branch, are we a country of the Constitution, or are we a country of whatever Trump feels like the law is? And in all of these cases, what's then supposed to happen if the executive branch ignores the judicial branch is Congress is supposed to get involved. But obviously, Congress is currently full with a bunch of MAGA loyalists, which is also why it's very important that we're all yelling, screaming, calling our congressperson, and sharing and talking about these stories, because the pressure needs to continue to rise on these elected officials to meet the moment. So let's talk a little bit about this story and how you can actually help. A critically ill Mexican girl who could die within days if her treatment is paused has been ordered by the Trump administration to leave the U.S., according to her family and doctor. Desi, I believe, I apologize if I mispronounced that, Vargas's 4-year-old daughter named only as Sofia in a GoFundMe page. That GoFundMe page is here. There will be a link in the description to this GoFundMe. If you have anything, mean a lot if you could give to this family. Urgently required better medical care for a life-threatening condition and was granted temporary humanitarian permission to enter the U.S. from her home country of Mexico in 2023. Sofia has short bowel syndrome, a rare condition that stops her from absorbing nutrients in food. When she was born in Playa del Carmen, I believe that's how that is pronounced, Mexico, she had to be attached to feeding tubes 24 hours a day. Since moving to the U.S., her condition has significantly improved, but she still requires treatment every day. Now, the Trump administration has ordered Sofia's deportation, leaving her at risk of death, an attorney representing the family said, quote, this is a textbook example of medical need, Rebecca Brown of the pro bono firm Public Counsel told the paper. This child will die, and there's no sense for that to happen. It would just be a cruel sacrifice. The family is currently living in Bakersfield, California, just over 100 miles north of Los Angeles. The threat to Sofia's life was confirmed by Dr. John Arsenault, again, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that, of the Children's Hospital Los Angeles, where she receives regular treatment every 6 weeks. And this is a picture of Sofia. The doctor said in a letter seen by the Los Angeles Times that if there was an interruption to the administration administering nutrition to her system, it could be fatal within a matter of days. The doctor added that patients who receive the treatment called total parental nutrition at home are not allowed to leave the country. Quote, the infrastructure to provide TPN or provide immediate intervention if there is a problem with IV access depends on our program's utilization of U.S.-based healthcare resources and does not transfer across borders, the doctor explained. The Independent has contacted the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services for comment, which they have not responded to. Sofia was born 1 month premature and had to undergo 6 surgeries due to intestinal blockage, as medics struggled to get the condition under control in Mexico. During one surgery, the mother told the newspaper that doctors cut out too much, leaving Sofia with short bowels. One blood infection she suffered as a result nearly killed her. Again, this is Sofia. While she was being kept alive in Mexico, her condition was no better by the age of 2, and Vargas knew the family would have to move to get better care. And so she signed up for the Biden administration's CBP One app to book an appointment with border agents in Tijuana to receive 2-year protection from deportation. The app is now used by the Trump administration to notify migrants to self-deport or face the consequences. At the appointment on July 31st, 2023, agents could tell Sofia was seriously unwell just by taking one look at her. Quote, God knew she needed better treatment. When we got to the entrance, they saw her and asked us if we needed medical help. That same day, the family was taken to a children's hospital in San Diego, and her condition improved quickly. A year later, Sofia was referred to the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, which has one of the highest ranked programs for gastroenterology in the US. Under their care, by September 2024, Sofia was discharged and could receive treatment in the comfort of her home. Meanwhile, her parents were working hard to hold down odd jobs in Bakersfield. Quote, "It was incredible," the mother said, who found a steady job as a cleaner at a restaurant. "I'd waited so long for doctors to tell me, 'Ma'am, your daughter's okay now. She can go home.' Sofia's care is still grueling. She must spend 14 hours a night hooked up to a feeding system, and the mother has to administer different medication that goes into her stomach through a tube 4 times a day. And at preschool, a nurse has to administer nutrition daily." All of that to say 2 things. Number 1, once again, there's a GoFundMe link in the link in my description if you would like to give any money to this family trying to keep Sofia, there she is, well. And number 2, really important, it doesn't have to be this video. However you can share this story. I'll also link the independent story down below. You can share this video. You can just pick up the phone, call friends and family, because it's stuff like this being aware of is what's going to make the difference. And if a judge rules that Sofia needs to stay in the country, that Trump is not violating that order, and if he does, we are all getting very, very, very loud, and we are calling the right people. I really appreciate everybody who watched this video, got through this video. I know it's not an easy one on the heart, but again, important to talk about these things. And I'm proud of you because I know a lot of you watching at home really want to be able to make a difference. And, there's a lot of people in the United States right now not paying attention to this stuff. And they say ignorance is bliss. But you're trying to fight, you're trying to make a difference, you're talking to friends, you're sharing stories, videos where you can. And that truly, truly does make a difference. And I appreciate it. With that being said, if you enjoyed this video, hit like, subscribe down below. I will leave links to the original story and the GoFundMe in the description down below, and links to all my other social media sites. And with that being said, I'll end it here, and I will see you in the next video.